Hello. I will be making a very simple 2D kind of Unity interaction over here. It's a blank canvas, so it'll be quite easy to follow. I'm doing this in 2D. All you need to do is just load up Unity. So I'll just make it as simply as possible. We can also just make this basically be like our floor. You can see it down here in the game section. And here's the scene where you kind of control the things you need to. I can place it down a bit more. Then to basically have the player not fall through the map, you're gonna need this. And you can see now it's green. This is basically a collider. You can obviously extend it past the actual thing if you need to maybe make like an invisible barrier or whatever. But yeah, and then we can just copy and paste it, move it up. This will be the ground, and then the square we did above will be player. Obviously I'll make it smaller. Can name this player. And another thing you should be doing, depends on how you like to do it obviously, but it's quite good to give tags to the stuff you want to use, because that's how I'm going to do it further down the line in my script. So here you can see it's untagged, and you can always make your own tag, and we're just going to name it player. So we have the ground, we have the player. Let's also give the player a rigid body. And following that, all you'd need to do is, we can just make something random right now. I'll do a triangle. We can also change the colors around a bit, so it's like a spike. So I'll simulate like a death, but not really. All we'll do is just show a trigger and get it to reload the scene, which you can see in some games where basically, you know, you collide with something and then boom, you're back to the beginning. So let me place the player a bit better. We'll change the color. We can make him be like green. And the spike can be red, so you know it's bad. Let's ground him a bit. And then the spike doesn't have a collider. It's there's loads of different shapes for colliders. The best one probably I'd say is the polygon one, because you can kind of really shape it up how you want it to be. But yeah, you can see it's green. It's all around this one here, so that is also fine. We don't need to make it bigger. And following that, obviously we will need our scripts, and we will just create C script. We'll need one for the movement, so I'll just literally name it movement. You can name it however you like. Obviously this is a variable thing that you can just do it however you like. And we will give some wording. Okay, so back into it again. I've deleted everything. Private float horizontal. Private float, we need to give it a speed value. Forgot the equal. AF. And we also need a bool to kind of know that we're facing in one direction and not the other. So is facing right. Okay. And we can make it be true. This means it will basically start off being activated, because that's how booleans work. They're either true or false. Then we will need a serialized field. As you can see, it kind of types out most for you either way, which is very helpful. And then we need to grab the rigid body that we were doing before on the player. I'll talk about it again soon. And now we need our void update. Yep. Oh, didn't want it to be private there. There we go. And now we will basically do horizontal. Let me clean this up a bit. Horizontal equals input. This basically gives the movement x raw. We're naming it, and that is it for now. Then we will also do a private void fixed update, and in here we will do rb velocity equals new vector 2, and now we will basically do the horizontal times the speed with the rb velocity included dot y, and that is it. Now we will also make a kind of custom private void. Let's name it back and forth. And with this one, basically, it's kind of to see that we can go forward and backward, and we'll call it in our update as well. So let's put it in here, back and forth. Okay. And if facing right and horizontal, and this is basically like or. Forgot to give it a value. 0f, and then these two straight lines means or basically, because you can have and, which means these two here facing and horizontal, and then with this here we're basically giving it another if statement to look at. So if facing right and again horizontal, and now we basically want it to be like this. And now inside here we can just do what we need to do. So facing right, we could do false, but this also means the same thing if you put like an exclamation mark in front of it. And then we will basically transform local scale. This basically flips the player. We don't necessarily need this, but you know, if the player had like a face or something like that, it's good to do, because otherwise it would seem like the player is moonwalking, which is probably not ideal if you're trying to make a game. .x times equals minus f transform. Yeah, it had everything planned out. So now this script, you save it, you go back to Unity when it lets you. There we go. And I didn't input the script, but all you really need to do is just do this. And then you can see the rigid body here is empty, so all you need to do is put this in here, and now it knows it's the rigid body of the player. Let's try it out. And as you can see, all I'm doing is pressing either the left and right arrow or the A and D button, and we're moving fine. We are getting this kind of interaction because we haven't frozen. I'll show you what like how to fix that. If you don't want that to happen, basically what you can do is constraints. This is the z-axis basically that's being used. So if we freeze it, the player won't really like spin around. You can see, yeah, and it kind of looks like I'm jumping, but I'm not. It's just the collision because it's a triangle. And now what we need to do is go back to the player. I have made the tag already. We add player, and whatever other tag you might want to add, you can always just add it yourself, you know, like spike, ground, and then you just save it and it's there and you can use it in the list. So now what I want to do is give the spike a script. So okay, I didn't see that. And we will name it death collision, I guess. It's not really a death, but you could obviously, you know, add an animation to it. You could use it to whatever you want, you'll see. Okay, so very important. If you want to manage scenes, you need to do using Unity, otherwise you cannot do it. Engine dot scene management, and then after that you don't really need the start or the update bit. All you need to do is void on collision. Enter is for when the collision is started. Then you have on collision exit, which is when you leave the collision. Then you have stay. So on collision stay. This is whilst you're staying in that collision. You can use each of them to however you need them to, but in our case we're doing something very simple. So we just need the enter. So once the collision has been entered, this will be fired. So then you just need to put an if statement in here. Dot game object dot name. Oh, I made a typo there. Typos can just ruin your script, so make sure you're doing them right, like you're spelling everything in the correct way. Double equals in quotations player. So now we'll look for a game object that has the name player in it, and then we'll use the scene manager that we had to load scene, and the scene name is we haven't given the scene a name, but obviously, you know, now it's just sample scene. But if you want a specific scene to be loaded, or the specific scene you have, you just name it accordingly. You know, the scene could be named main game, level 1, level 2, whatever. Now I'm just using what it has. And once that's done, you save. And then if you load the game, you can see it just sends us back every single time, whilst if we just kind of lifted ourselves over, it doesn't happen. You know, you can get through. You can even fall off, obviously, because we haven't fixed it, but yeah. And that would be the interaction. Thank you for watching.